Hmm. So I am having a hard time to sleep as usual. And I was sleeping earlier. I took a beautiful bath in frankincense oil and lavender oil, some zendecrine oil, the essential oils I like to use from doTERRA. And I fell asleep. I had a great slumber until around 1 a.m. in the morning, and then I woke up and I'm still up. And now I have a lot of stuff that's on my mind, stuff that's been bothering me that I just kind of want to talk about and get off my chest. So I'm going to make this little video because the thing that keeps resonating, I mean, I had some creative moments. I did come up with some good things. So, spirit woke me up for that reason. But then I started to reflect on some hard things from my past. And I found myself like talking out loud and using my hands. And I wonder why I have that habit and that behavior of talking to myself so much, And then I think, well, you have this crazy thing happening in your brain called multiple superbness. And it has rewired how your brain works. And I started to think about how I've been trying to understand like what happened to me. Because I tell you, everything was going okay for a while. Definitely for a while. Um, I think that buying the house um, some years ago was not a great thing for me or a great time because that was around the time that um, my family was really young. I had a lot of responsibility. My husband depended on me for like everything. He just dumped everything in my hands. And I say dumped because it literally always felt like abruptly, like, you deal with this, you deal with this. So marriage was definitely tough by the time we bought a house together. And everybody knows that financial matters and marriage are tricky. Being in the business that we're both in, the entertainment business, it's tricky for both people. Like, two narcissists, really? So then, if it's not two narcissists, who's the narcissist? Who gets to be the narcissist in the relationship? And, support them because they're a narcissist. Which one of the two? And in my case, I was not allowed, or I couldn't assume the role of a narcissist or a mindset of a narcissist because I was a mom. And moms are not narcissistic in any way. Moms are martyrs. We used to tease my mom growing up that she was a martyr. So, yeah, I turned into that mom. And in between the house and all that comes along with the house, I think credit card debt came along with the house. And then we had mortgage debt, credit card debt, and then we bought a minivan. So we had minivan debt and a really bad diet, cooking. And I cooked for a long time, but my family didn't like my cooking very much. They would complain about the meals that I would make or how much I would make. I never was inspired to cook, and I'm not really suited for cooking. I'm good at cooking, some things, but I'm not really suited for cooking, especially these days. But we didn't eat well. We became suburbanites, and it compounded my fucked up state of African Americanness, such a fucked up name because I grew up connected to Africa. I wasn't really taught that I was connected to Africa. I was taught I was connected to Virginia and Mississippi, but I didn't know all the generational stories behind it until I became an adult. I didn't really understand my family tree. I still don't. I'm curious to get the DNA, but I just feel like I don't want to be in that data bank. Everybody's in the data banks. All of our data is in the data banks. Our health, our money, credit, it's all online, right? And AI is developing and shit's getting ready to go crazy or just move faster as we get older. But anyway, all of that timing and pressure is about the time that multiple purpose showed up in my life. And didn't, I think I first started having symptoms probably in like 2007. So my kids were born in 96 and 98. And then, like less than 10 years later, I was having MS symptoms and didn't know that they were MS symptoms. I just thought it was like lifestyle because our lifestyle was changing as young suburban African American people. I can say that about my marriage because I married an African and I'm American. So my children are African American, but I just stay swapped to know what I am really. But I have some family stories. I don't know how true they are because nobody told me or shared with me anything if they've done any research. Anyway, um, when I first noticed MS was in 2008 or 9. I looked it up online because I remember a gig that I had at Cafe, the World Cafe Live in Pennsylvania in 2008. I was very, very sick. I had a bunch of tour dates, and I got very, very sick with vertigo, extreme, to the point that I couldn't even hold my head up. But I had booked a bunch of dates in my band. We were all counting on that money. So I had to do my shows. And I remember traveling around with vertigo. And I couldn't drive. People had to drive me. I had to make arrangements for carpools and stuff. And I was like the band leader. And I was carpooling with my band. It was awkward. And but I had to perform upright. So that went on for like a month or more. And it was really hard because I was most popular and really starting to feel the rewards of working so hard to book myself and be my own agent. I was really starting to get a groove. And then I had that vertigo thing happen. And then shit happened after that I started to notice, but I didn't know that it was MS. Like I've lost my vision a couple of times. Most recently, I lost my vision in 2014. Um, I remember it vividly because I was doing a gig in like Greenwich, Connecticut, and I lived in Pennsylvania. So I would drive, and it was a great gig with my friend who plays upright bass, and me on a piano, beautiful grand piano, Italian restaurant, lovely. Polpo. It was great. Loved it. I mean, people were very kind and generous and requested songs that I knew how to play, and I was really able to kind of like test my piano skills and enjoy my piano skills. And I struggled to remember that I was trying to play. Sometimes I'd have the music book in front of me and I'd look at it and I still couldn't process what I was looking at. And sometimes it was my own original music. And I was blank. I would draw a blank looking at the fucking page. And so I'm doing that gig, and that's happening at the gig. I'm dressed fabulous. I couldn't walk in the shoes that I wore. And I remember I had to park far and walk with those books, with the music, in those heels. And it was slightly a decline, a downgrade. Horrible. How I didn't fall, I don't know. But I felt like I was going to fall. Got to the restaurant, but the whole time I couldn't see shit. So I had driven from Pennsylvania to Connecticut, and then I had to drive from Connecticut back home to Pennsylvania, and it's like 1 in the morning. And I'm thinking like, great, it's only trucks on the road. By the time I get from Connecticut to New York to New Jersey to Pennsylvania, on the way back, I thought and realized I could hurt somebody if I just fucking make a wrong turn. But I didn't really tell anybody. My friend that had called me for the job, I wound up just not doing the job at one point because it was raining and I had the gig and I just had to call him up. I think it was the day before or the day of the gig, which is really late, as a musician to cancel yourself. You kind of leave the person hanging. I tried to find a sub to cover the chair, and he tried to say, like, yeah, like the gig will do you good. Don't be down and out. You'll be okay. You'll feel better. Music makes you feel better, kind of thing, which is true. But I couldn't see. I don't know if it was both eyes or how severely it was because I didn't go to the doctor. I didn't tell anybody. I didn't realize that I was blind. I knew I was visually impaired. I thought it was because I lost my glasses. I lose things so easily, because the brain disease of multiple sclerosis, it's horrible. So all of these things affect my brain. The vision is affected because the optic nerve is damaged. And then the vision comes back. But does it come back? The vertigo goes away, but does it go away? Like right now, I've been having these terrible pains in my calf. My left side is always the first side to show up to say, like, so my left calf for days, which have turned into weeks, which I believe has been months, which might even be a year already, has been hurting. And I just, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to give that any energy, and I want to support my cells to be better. I want to love myself. My friend Leland, Leland Faulkner, a brilliant mind. Oh, I'm so honored to know him. Great, great puppeteer, storyteller, great guy. So Leland told me when I shared with him that I had multiple superbness, uh, he shared with me in a book. I forget what it was called, the book, but it was like the source of a lot of illnesses in a metaphysical way. kind of book. So he looked up multiple superbness, and it had to do with being stubborn, not being open, not willing to change. So when he told me that, I started to like really connect the dots of like how this happened to me. Because what I'm explaining to you happened to me. Like I didn't ask for it. Or maybe I did ask for it because of the way I was living in my lifestyle. But whatever brought it on, I like to say that I came down with the MS, and a star was born. But in the process of me being born, so much was damaged. And that's what's keeping me awake tonight. That's what's giving me insomnia and making my eyes tear up. Just the thought of the things that I have damaged and lost. Like I lost my sister, my older sister. Just everything to me. And she passed away December 6th of 2016. I don't even want to remember the day she left, but I'm going to remember the days that we shared. And if you've ever seen me perform or know me as an artist, I'm pretty good at what I do. When I'm good, I'm really good. When I suck, I really suck. I'm good at it. I'm good at what I do. Whether it's good or bad, I'm good. I'm really great. I'm really, really great. I'm really gifted. I'm really blessed. I'm really talented. I'm really thankful. I'm very special. I'm very happy with myself. And my sister really helped me become this person that I am. From when I was very small, she was a friend to me immediately because I had a crazy imagination. I had visions and I time traveled and I spoke to spirit as a child. And my family thought I was the strangest thing that was born into them, except my sister and my father. So that means my mother and my brother were the ones that thought that I was just like this fucking weirdo. They still think that way. My mother's energy around my brother is still here in his sarcophagus in his body. I can't remember the word. It's in my mind, but I can't choose which letter it is. But yeah, I can't even spell it. And I'm really good at words. Anyway, so I lost my sister. She passed away, and I wasn't talking to her. As a matter of fact, the last thing I said to her was the most vile thing that's ever come out of my mouth. So talk about the book, The Four Agreements, right? Be impeccable with your word. Fuck that shit up. And it was because of a series of things that had triggered this emotional response. And the emotional response was because of the wiring being fucked up in my head from years and years of multiple sclerosis progressing to the point that I have had lesions in my brain as well as down my spine. I have lesions. And I have a lot of things that are, I won't say impaired because I just refuse to accept any term of weakness in terms of multiple superbness. I have a lot of challenges, especially on my left side. So, like, my left side of everything is weaker and difficult to communicate with. So, I can't hold things in my left hand because I'll drop them because my brain will not always remember that my hand is holding something. I'm a piano player. and piano player. I'm a righty. I'm a righty and a piano player. And, left hand playing is really hard anyway as a righty. So to have a weaker left hand and a weaker brain, perhaps my brain on the left side is weaker or on the right side, I don't know. I learned some interesting things about myself in physical therapy. Where I had strength was where I didn't know I had strengths. And then where I thought I had some strength, I had less strength than I thought and whatever. But now I know, so I can work on these things. But, I had such emotional imbalance that I also had bad decision making and bad sleep habits and bad diet, bad environment, just a lot of really unhealthy, not bad, unhealthy. That's the word. I had a lot of unhealthy things going on simultaneous. So I had a big breakdown. I had a big breakdown. I think it was a nervous breakdown. We don't call it that anymore. Excuse me, I need a tissue. My nose is running. And being the kind of person that I am, I'm going to blow my nose on camera because I'm Robbie and I keep it real. I keep it 100. I, but seriously, I hope you find me humorous because I'm cracking up on the inside where it counts. If you're a fan of The Odd Couple, you get that joke. The original Odd Couple. Anyway, uh, like my left side is really fucked up. Like, for example, check this out. My bladder, my bladder wall is not working on the left side. So because my bladder wall on the left side is weaker and has fallen in, caved in, whatever, lost its my nerves to my bladder aren't connecting to the muscles. Something happened. I have a lot of muscular weakness on my left side. I have a lot of imbalance that has to do with looking left. I can't even do the exercise right now, but I went through a lot of weeks of therapy practicing. Ugh, I don't even know what I'm doing. How to use my eyes in a different way to help with the vertigo. But I got a lot of shit happening on the left side. So I have incontinence, like I pee on myself because my bladder doesn't hold my urine anymore. That's been happening for a couple of years, but I didn't want to buy Depends. I wanted to do commercials for Depends. On camera, off camera, didn't matter. Just, I don't want to wear those. I don't need that. I'm fine. So, it's horrible because I've been in denial about what's going on. And part of being in denial has helped me stay really healthy and overcome and really keep working as long as I possibly could. But I have a really hard job. I'm a talent. I'm a superstar, my friend Anne says. I'm special. I create. I grow children. I inspire people. I share love. I make people happy. I make the vibrations higher, vibrating with joy and love. That's what I do. And my brain is like, slow down. We can't move that fast. You gotta make the moments last. Just kicking around. Anyway, I know I'm laughing in here. and you're wondering, like, what the fuck is wrong with her? I'm funny. That's what's wrong with me. I'm funny, but I'm deadpan funny. I'm the straight guy funny, and I'm the jester. I'm both. And then I switch between all these different moods and personalities, and that's always been me. But this shit that's happened with my myelin sheath, with my brain, has thrown me for a loop and fucked my shit up a lot. And I miss my husband. We did not have a great marriage, but we were married and trying to have a great marriage. I was trying to have a great marriage. I always felt like my husband settled for me, that there were other women that he really loved, but they didn't make the offer like I did. And I offered him a life, an apartment, and a business manager, a support person, English teacher, culture ambassador, a secretary, booking agent, mom, a wife, sex partner, music partner, co writer, co creator, partner, friend, lover. I miss my husband. And he was always an African dude, you know. I married a Zulu king. And, I know this about Zulus, man. They are just hardcore, straight up. Hardcore, straight up. They're straight up people. They are hardy, they are truthful, they are warriors, they are fighters, they are strong people. I married a strong man. I married a man I thought reminded me of my dad. If he comes back to me, he reminds me of my dad. If he doesn't come back to me, then maybe I was not meant to spend my life with him. Maybe I was meant to just have these beautiful children with him and memories. But I did not do well with MS and my family. One of the things I used to do is burn food a lot. And everybody I talk to that has MS says the same thing. A lot of people with MS don't cook because, the brain is fucked up. The wiring, the synapses, there's damage. Things don't connect like they're supposed to. And the disease doesn't get better. It can get better if you try to change your lifestyle and live differently. But you got to change your whole lifestyle because whatever you've been living makes your immune system weak. And when your immune system gets weak, you are vulnerable. So I have become vulnerable. And, it goes back to childhood, these kind of things. Antibiotics that you take, food that you eat, neighborhoods that you live, people that you live with, how they love you, how they grow you. All of these things impact your immune system. And we didn't know this. Like I'm 54 years old. I didn't know these things until now at my age. It's not that the information wasn't there, but like I wasn't educated about myself that way. So I caught a case of MS from my lifestyle. And then my case of MS was so traumatic for me and dramatic, but not physically impairing to the eye. You watch me walk down the street and you'll think I'm drunk, which my family thought I was drinking and drunk. And, you know, you have to drink a lot of red wine to be drunk. And guys, I didn't drink a lot of red wine to be drunk because I would pee too much because my bladder was not working well and I was having incontinence problems. You missed it. When I closed myself in my bedroom, it was because I was depressed and I hated myself and I hated you. I hated my children who demanded everything of me. They wanted me to drive them here, drive them there. They were very overprivileged, spoiled, suburban, African American children. And I created that life for them, and I took my Zulu and I, you know, didn't change. I was stubborn and I stayed very New York American, Northern African American. And it was hard to be married. And then I say I miss my husband. So that makes me stay up late and wonder, like, I think I was in an abusive relationship. I don't think it was intentionally abusive. My husband never hit me. If anything, I hit him. Right before I moved out, I hit him. That's one of the reasons why I moved out, because I was losing control of, like, my feelings, my emotions, and I was having behaviors that I didn't really like. I was really scared, mostly, and so when you're frightened, you do dangerous things, and you do careless things with yourself because you don't care if you live or die. Like you drive when you can't see, and then you realize, "Oh, maybe I don't care about me living or dying, but I don't wanna hurt somebody else." Or you think, "Oh my god, my children want me to drive them home or drive their friends. I can't see, but I'm a super mom, so I'm gonna do what I have to do. I know the way. I can kinda see. I can see enough." And I was hoping my family would be, more simpatico, more agreable, more agreeable and aligning with me, but we never could align, and I could never make my family align together. The house caused a lot of stress. Like, we always had a lot of stress in our marriage because we're both artists and freelancers primarily, and just when I was starting to get a lot of work as a jingle singer and a session singer, my union went on strike. So I was like the new girl coming in and meeting people that were hooking me up. I met Arif Mardin, Shaka Khan hooked me up with Arif Mardin. I met Shaka because my husband did a tour with her and Keiko Matsui and Philip Bailey. And like, so I met all these people, and Shaka and I are still friends today. And she turned me on to a lot of nice people that gave me great job opportunities that I was able to turn into other job opportunities, not just for myself, but for other people. And then I discovered that I was a band leader, and like my whole life just started to flourish and take off as a creative person. At the same time, I was parenting very young children. And my mother was saying it to me at the time, like, your number one job is parenting your children, which is true. Oh my God, that's true, right? The only job for me as a mother is to parent my children. But I was so, determined to work and make it in the industry because my mother did not want me to go into the entertainment industry in any way. And do you know why? And this is what I've never really explained to anybody, but what I've completely known and understood about my mother's position and my family's position, really, was they didn't want me to pursue this work because they knew I was special and different and weird and strange and odd and very unique and very talented and way too gullible and nice and naive and clueless and loving and trusting and honest for such a fucked up business. But I didn't, like I just wanted it more because I was told I shouldn't have it. And, I married a really talented musician that I didn't even know was him. Like I knew his music. I knew the record that he recorded, Graceland. It changed my life, changed the way I listened to music and heard music. It started to help my dreams really ferment, and a SCOBY was built in my mind that started to flourish and feed me on dreams about the kind of music that I wanted to touch and make. And then I got brave and moved to New York City, got a job working with Spike Lee, my first job in New York City. Spike Lee hired me. I wrote him a letter when I had insomnia and couldn't sleep, like I'm talking to you now through this dark mirror. I wrote Spike Lee a letter and he read it and he met me through the letter and welcomed me to 40 Acres and a Mule. And I worked for Spike right after he did She's Gotta Have It. And it was great till I got fired. But that was great to even be fired. And I can't even tell you that story now, but it's in my book. So you'll have to get my book to hear that story of how I got fired by Spike Lee. It's historic, and it's like one of my greatest stories to tell. It's embarrassing and represents how young I was and naive and innocent and stupid and clueless and trusting, all those things my mother said I was. That's why I got fired. But my mother told me about Me Too before we had hashtag Me Too. My mom was straight up. And my mom had had experiences that she never told me, but I found out about later from my sister that were scary and terrifying to her as a young woman. And she had seen things just growing up in Harlem, uh, just past the Harlem Renaissance. She was living in Harlem, New York, after coming up from the South. Beautiful plantation land that my family had been deeded after slavery. 400 acres and more than mules, carriages, and more. So, my mom came from a great deal of pain and suffering from the South, Virginia, mixed blood, mixed heritage, and landowners. That's what they came out of slavery with, land, owning land. What did you sacrifice to get that land for? My God. So that's my people that I come from. My husband is a Zulu. He comes from Shaka Zulu. He's a badass. And he's one of the best bass players in the world. So, I'm wondering, like, was it an abusive relationship? Like, where does it become abuse when people are down on you? Like, when your family is discouraging, when does it become abuse? Is it abuse or is it just, how families are? Because I repeated what I knew as a parent. I didn't want to repeat what I knew and what happened to me. But I certainly, beat my kids like my parents beat me. Like my mother was a good ass whipper. My dad was a good beater also, but he didn't beat as often as my mother. My mother, especially me and my mouth and my attitude and my spirit being so free. My mother was trying to stop that shit, but you can't beat a child's nature out of them, right? A human's nature is what they are. So I'm still naive and trusting and stupid and careless. And on top of it, I have MS happening with my brain, with my nerves, with my cells. So do you think I want this shit to be happening to me? No. I don't want this shit to be happening to my body. Fuck that. You know, I just figured out how great my life was. I want my life back. But my husband doesn't talk to me. He doesn't return my phone calls. My children don't speak to me. They feel that I was an abusive parent and a drunk and a pot smoking hippie, whatever. I don't know what they think. But from what I've read that my children have written, they think I'm the wicked witch from the West and not the mom that taught them everything that they know to survive, not the mother that had them naturally without any epidurals, without anything pharmaceutical and synthetic. I was completely organic with my children, carrying them, having them, feeding them all the time. From the day I found out that I was pregnant, I changed the way that I ate to the greatest degree that I could and could afford. And I took being pregnant extremely seriously. Have you met my children? They're amazing women. They're amazing women. And it's really not fair of them to me to blame me for their life being rotten because their life wasn't rotten. Their life was great. My daughter even wrote this in a letter to a judge explaining why my husband shouldn't help me in any way financially. My daughter wrote a letter saying, like, my mom used to be great, and then she changed. So I changed because I have MS. I have MS. That's why I changed. I didn't want to change. It just happened to me. I didn't know I was changing. I fought against it. I tried to stay who I thought I should be, who I thought everybody wanted me to be. The band leader, the contractor, the friend, the mom, the booking agent, the wife, the mother, the storyteller, the musician, the contractor, the teaching artist, the performing artist, the PTA mom, the carpool mom, the I'll teach you how to drive mom, the you're sick in the middle of the night, I'm here for you mom. I did it as hard as I could, and I had no help. No help from my husband, who just would always flip things back on me. You do it. You take care of it. You take care of it. I am not from this country. I don't speak English. This country is against me. I'm from Africa. Ba, ba, ba. Was always the excuse he gave me to take on all the work and responsibility of a family, of a business. All he wanted to do was play his bass. And I felt he should play his bass because he's great at playing his bass. But I needed to play my piano. And I had all these other things on my plate over the years. It was a terrible juggling, as all mothers do. But then when you have a career, whether it's in the entertainment industry or not, it's hard to be a mom and do that, to be a wife and do that. When really maybe I'm only supposed to be a wife and a mom, or be the other thing, but both don't work. So tonight I'm awake. It's 4:17 a.m. in the morning where I'm at. I need to wake up at 5:30 and begin my day. And I just miss my husband. I can't even get beyond missing him to miss my daughters. And then the fact that they verbalize how disgusted they are with me and how they take no ownership and responsibility to the way they treated me as a trigger and cause to how I treated them. I was always an inappropriate mom. I didn't become inappropriate. I became more inappropriate, yeah, but I was always an honest, blunt, inappropriate mom who said what I wanted to say and did what I wanted to do. And I was conflicted with that because I had this natural instinct to repeat what my mother did for me and what her mother did for her and what her mother did for her and what her mother did for her and what her mother did for her. That thing that's talked about, the four agreements, that we just are repeating these habits until we change them. So this is why I'm grateful for MS, because multiple superbness has been my reason for changing my habits. I'm sorry that in the process I lost my sister, that I lost my husband, my Zulu king, and all the good things that we have had together, seem to be kicked to the curb and have no value. I'm sorry that we lost that. And then my children, I'm sorry that they have no respect for me, that like 4 Mother's Days in a row, they don't send me a Mother's Day card or acknowledge that I'm their mother in any way, and don't realize yet how important a mother is. And then I look at myself and say, wow, am I not experiencing what I also experienced as a child? I had not seen my mother for 4.5 years before she died. And when I saw my mom after 4.5 years, it was 3 days I saw her, and then she died. And we buried her. 3 days she was dead and buried. And it was like swift, whoom. And only after she took her last breath did I realize how important my mom was. And so now I'm in this situation where my kids don't talk to me. And I have a chronic illness that is supposed to progress. And I'm by myself with, like I don't have anybody. I don't have my sister, my mom, my dad. My brother's a prick, so he's never been nice to me. I don't miss him at all. And I don't miss anybody that was really mean to me. So when I think about my children and my husband, I kind of just remember getting really depressed in my house and isolating myself, retreating, hiding. I would leave my house for hours. I couldn't see because my vision was bad, so I would drive up to a park where the deer would come out at night and they had a porta potty. It was like on the way to this hotel that my husband stayed for a year and a half instead of moving in and helping me manage the household and the kids and the money. He lived in a hotel and paid the hotel fee instead and lived a mile and a half from me and the children because he was mad at me and didn't trust me to be my husband. And I needed help. I was sick. And because I had no help, I kept it to a secret. I couldn't be weak. I couldn't be weak. I had nobody to help me. I had to be strong. I had no spouse. I had no brother to help me. My brother was like always judgmental, always is judgmental ever since I was born. Like even the story of when I was born, my brother didn't want me to come home from the hospital. He didn't want a baby sister. A brother, maybe. He was a kid. It's like 6 years old. But he didn't want a sister. So my mother didn't want a new baby to be hurt by a child that might not be coping well. Did a psychological thing with him to say, okay, we'll give the baby away to the nurse then. We won't bring her home because we don't want to upset you. And then my brother was like, well, all right, I'll let you bring her home. But, and that was our relationship from the day I arrived. He let me come home, but I wasn't welcomed. Wasn't welcomed in his life. He's the middle child. I wasn't welcomed in his life. Look, dude, I didn't pick you either, so I don't give a shit really. But you were not nice to me most of my life. I can't even recollect instances when you were kind. To recollect them. Like I remember childhood birthdays. Sometimes we would celebrate our birthdays around the same time because I'm the 10th of March, he's the 18th. You were mean to me at my birthday. You were mean to me growing up, and I never felt like I was good enough to be your sister. So, talk about an immune system breakdown. When did I learn that I wasn't enough? When I wanted to sing for a living and I was told no because my mother knew about Me Too situations. But how do you explain that to a teenager? Back then, you didn't. That was shit you didn't talk about. Those were secrets that people kept secret. Well, we don't keep secrets in 2018, we arrest secrets. We incarcerate secrets. And we put them in jail and we out them publicly and we shame and blame them. And why are they like that? Because maybe they were hurt along the way. And the whole human condition is really fucked up, as I'm explaining to you my situation of insomnia and incontinence and incompatibility, inconceivably. As I tell you all this, I'm also part of the same human condition that everybody is in, no matter what our story is. Everybody has some sort of fucked up shit that they've gone through, are going through, will go through, because it's just part of being in these bodies and being here on the planet. And that is why I'm very, very interested in my spiritualness, my spirituality, what is bigger than me that makes me smile and feel love in my heart. Even as I tell a sad story of me and my past. This is my past I'm talking about, so it's not me. Me right now is fucking awake at 4:25 in the morning instead of sleeping, and I'm exhausted because I have multiple superbness, and that's what happens. You get really, really tired on a cellular level, and you have to recharge. And I never stop because I don't think I'm good enough or enough in the world. Yet I make love, I make joy, I make happiness. I make children laugh and smile, giggle. I make grown-ups happy. I bring the A game. I'm a very special person. I love who I am. I think I'm really cool. I'm really grateful for all of my talents, all of my skills, the languages that I speak. Whew, I'm really proud of myself. And I trust that my job is specific, that I'm a healer and a light worker, and that these trials and tribulations that I go through help me to understand the human condition so that I can help people rise above it and raise their vibrations for a better life, for better living, for better experience, and for better use of their gifts and their talents, because we all have gifts and talents meant to be shared so that we can make this world heaven and wonderful. But things are going kind of haywire these days in the world, all parts of the world, and I'm feeling it. And I want to respond to it as an artist, and I am responding to it as an artist. I don't know what's coming for me next, but multiple superbness is changing me, and I'm grateful for it. But I sure do miss my husband, and I sure do miss my kids. I sure miss my doggy. I miss my sister. I miss my mom. I miss my dad. I miss my grandmother, my grandfather Johnny, and my mama Ollie. I miss my Uncle William and Aunt Jessie, Jessie May. I miss my Auntie Joan, who I never even knew, really. My mother's baby sister. So how is that even possible that me, a baby sister of my mother's children, my mother's daughter, I'm the baby sister, and my mother's own baby sister, I didn't really grow up knowing because she suffered from mental illness and mostly was in facilities and places that, she could cope and live in. So we didn't go around her. And I think when I was younger, we invited her a few times. But I don't know what happened that she didn't keep getting invited. So, I've got mental illness in my family. And now with multiple superbness, I totally have mental illness. It's official. It's motherfucking official. So for all you haters out there, my children, my spouse, my brother, my aunt, my cousins, those related to me with DNA, I start with you first. Well, you've been driving around town with the one I love, and I'm like, forget you. Ooh, 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 ooh. And for those people that offered their friendship to me and made me think that they were my friend, and I leaned on them and counted on them in a moment of weakness and confusion and malfunctioning synapses and brain connections and mental illness, emotional illness, environmental illness, vertigo, physical pain, so much physical pain. And I never complained. I never told you about it. I never shared it with you that I had this burden and you fucking offered me help and then judged and shamed me. And I've been driving around town with the one I love, and I'm like, mm, mm, ooh, ooh, ooh. Yeah. And for those of you I've met in passing that didn't help, I'm not even going to bother to sing that song again because I don't even know who you are to name you. That's how unimportant you are. But the opposite of that, because there's always a yin and yang, right? The opposite of what I just said is love. So all of that stuff is my past and what I've lost and leave behind as I completely love and embrace myself. Because in all of that, what I did here was like what my husband said to me in April and May, especially April and May of 2015. He said it over and over and over again, all sorts of different places, different ways. He even said it to me in bed, when we were naked and vulnerable. He explained to me that, like, my situation with my health was my situation, not his situation. MS was my problem, not his, that I had to cope with it and work it out for myself. Now, when I heard that, it hurt me deeply because I grew up with a dad that had diabetes and our world revolved around his diabetes. So I expected everybody's world to be revolving around me, and my kids couldn't give a shit about me. They just wanted me to do for them. And that's what I was always for them. And I was trying to keep being that for them, but I couldn't. So I failed miserably at it, and they blamed and shamed me. And then my husband saying that to me was no different than anything he had ever said to me in our marriage. Like, the reason why he never told me that I was beautiful or pretty. He told me he never told me that because he didn't want it to go to my head. No, let it go to my head. Because in this land of Me Too, in the industry that I'm in, motherfuckers who don't give a shit about me are telling me how pretty I am and how pretty my eyes are and how nice my tits are. So, like you, my husband, I'd like to hear it from you, really, because you I trust and I believe, but you don't even want to tell me? Is that why I'm like attracting people that I hire to work for me to grope me and assault me? Don't get me started on Me Too, because I'm already at 1 hour and I want to wrap this video up and try to lay back down. My mother was right. This industry is fucked up. And I'm really lucky that children's music found me in 1981 and turned my nose into that direction. And even though I struggled to pull it back over to this direction of being a jingle singer and a background singer and a superstar and this and that, my nose was turned and my eyes were pointed to what, my creator wanted me to do with myself and my talent, which is awesome. So it worked out. It worked out. I am absolutely living my dream. I just didn't realize that this was what was meant for me. And the more that I realize what is meant for me, is the yin and yang again. The more that I realize what is meant for me, what Creator has intended for me, the reason why I'm here on the planet in this form, in this body, with these talents, in this moment of now, is to bring joy, is to bring love, is to bring light, is to bring an understanding for people to know that even though it sucks here and this is miserable and people are not nice and situations are rude and it hurts your feelings, we don't have to be hurt. We can let it go. We can let it go. We can let it go. We can say, I'm sorry that that happened in the past. I didn't mean for it to happen. I love you. I love you. And that's all I know. So I love you. So that's where I'm at. I feel better now that I've been able to get a lot of these things off of my chest, for 4 years. I've been really, really sad and suffering with the decision that I made to pack my bags and move out of my house, my apartment with my children and my husband. And at first, I just knew that they were mean and I was unhappy and I felt picked on. I felt picked on to the point that I wanted to kill myself. And then I spent a couple of years trying to kill myself. And I figured out how. I attempted it, but I had the wrong kind of razor blade, so I didn't really cut my femoral artery, but I just kind of sliced up my leg superficially. And then I went to Bellevue and told them, I'm trying to kill myself. And that was an interesting experience that I'll share with you at another time. But I spent 4 years really sad and trying to understand what would make me do that. Like, what kind of feeling is that? And I just didn't feel safe. I didn't feel safe. Things were happening inside of my body that were my secret that I wasn't sharing with anybody. And even when it did come out and I wound up in the hospital for the first time ever in my life, that's when I was diagnosed with MS, like very matter of factly, like, oh, that's probably what's going on. I didn't know. And I didn't even want to find out. So I went right away to denial. And I started to fight against the knowledge of what MS is, not just the fact that I have it. And so it was difficult for my family. It was difficult for me. And I had a hard time communicating because of all the mental shit that was popping, because it had been years that I had been suffering from MS. So it's down my spine. I have a lot of impairments going on. But I just don't say anything about them. I don't acknowledge them. I don't give them energy. I give other things energy that are healing and supportive of my life force. So that's my situation. And I encourage all of you who are listening to this story to let things go, especially the shit that really hurts, because to walk around hurt and you can't fix the hurt is even more hurt. And what do they say? Hurt people hurt people. So when I snap at people and cuss somebody out because they cut me off when I'm walking, all bumpily and crooked because I have balance and vertigo and vision issues and my leg hurts, and I curse somebody, fucking motherfucker, because they walked in front of me when they saw me coming, I have to take a step back and remember, like, I'm so grateful for what I do have. And I have a lot. I have a lot. And I have more coming. I just have to make room by letting go. So I guess in a way, this is a video to let my marriage go. I've been holding on, waiting for my husband to call, and it's been 4 years. He ain't calling. I took him to family court to ask for some spousal support because I can't work anymore. And he didn't want to give me even $100 a month. So I found my value to my African king. I'm not even worth one cow. Oh, that's so painful. But I felt like that the whole marriage, that I wasn't valuable to him ever, and that there was always other loves that he had. I always felt that he settled for me. But I knew that it was my love because I dreamt of him as a child. I saw him in my dreams. And he is the father of my children, and my children are most excellent, whether they talk to me or not. I have created superb. Did I create them? No, I just was the vessel to get them here. They chose me to be their mom, and I gladly took it and picked Begiti to be their father. And I'm really glad I did. And so that's what I have. That's my yin and yang. That's my good from the sad, is that I have great kids and great memories of when I was the most excellent mom that did the most amazing things that only a superb, excellent mother could do. I am a badass mom, and nobody can ever take that away from me. Just ask my niece, the one that goes to Stanford now. The kids that go to Stanford, the people that go to Stanford, the things they come out to be able to do. Oh, my youngest niece attends Stanford, California, Stanford, right? I'm saying it right. And I took her to Alaska with me. That little girl learned to play guitar so she could go to Alaska. And we had a little trio, my two daughters and my niece. And I took those kids to Alaska, and they played music all over Juneau in a 4th of July parade. They were on a float as a key part of the parade, written about in the newspaper. And I don't even think they appreciate the blessing of such an experience. Nobody ever took me to Alaska when I was a teenager. Shit, trip all paid for. My brother didn't give me a dime to help feed his daughter. I paid for all those kids to eat and have their entertainment and things that they wanted to do. And all I got is blame and shamed after all those years of being super. I love you. I love you. Namaste. I am so thankful. I am so grateful. Loka samasta sokino bhavantu. Loka samasta sokino bhavantu. Loka samasta sokino bhavantu. Loka samasta sokino bhavantu. Om. I pray in this moment with you that we are all realizing how blessed and fortunate we are. I pray that we all share our abundance with one another and help those that do not have enough have what they need. I pray that our bodies stay healthy, that our minds stay mindful and aware and strong and full of love toward ourselves, to eat well, sleep well, love well, live well, work well, exercise well, all of those things. I pray that we treat ourselves well, because being here is a gift. It's really cool to be alive. It's really cool. It's a good thing who we are. And it's all about love. It's the only thing. Just even thinking about love and sending a feeling of love to all of these things I've talked about in this hour video I'm surrounding and closing and just letting you know that everything I have said is coming from a place of love, forgiveness, acceptance, joy, kindness, supportiveness, more forgiveness, more love. So, Bagiti Kumalo, I love you and always will. Thank you for a great life. Bali and Didi, you need to call your mother. You need to be mindful of your mother. And I might need help sometime. So I'm going to try to ask for help. And when I ask for help, please hear me asking. Because I'm still asking very softly for help. But I need help all the time. I'm not working. I don't know how I'm going to eat. But I'm just okay with the universe. Like we sing that song. He's got the whole world in his hands. She's got the whole wide world in her hands. The whole world is in our hands. We are the whole world. We are our hands. Right, that was a weird one, but you know what I mean. I love you. Keep hanging in there. Keep being strong. Know that you're not the only one going through crappy things and that there's always a good side to the crappy thing. Just realize it, know it, acknowledge it, celebrate it, focus on it, and more good things will come. And then everything will shift and change. And then the things that make you sad won't make you so sad. They'll just be memories about things in your past that make you stronger, that you stand on, and find the will to live and not hurt yourself and not disrespect yourself in any way. You know, my body is truly my temple. I've taken good care of my body. I'm so grateful to my mother for teaching me to protect myself. Because I have Me Too stories. I do. But I don't have a lot of them. And I fought back. And I kept myself protected. But I still was subject to people like touching my body with unwanted advances and saying inappropriate things. All that shit. All the shit we're talking about. It's happened to me. It's happened to you. It's happening all over the world. So know that we are all one. We are all one, going through the same type of experiences here. And the best thing we can do is do the best we can for ourselves so that we can be kind people to others. And then when we start meeting more kind people, then the love is really popping. So, without any further ado, I say to you good night. And thank you for listening to my tales from a very dark mirror. Thank you. I'm grateful for you. Good night.